hot. Ooh. Lisa Harper.
No one has accused me of that in a long time. So
Heck, yes, we did.
Appreciate that.
We are hot.
Thank you for being with us.
Lisa Harper.
I'm so happy to be with y'all.
We've survived. You guys were still standing.
Not survived, thrived.
We've
baby.
thrived. That's right. It was not. That was too weak. We need to go stronger.
That wasn't taking your life.
But
back.
you
That
haven't.
was just
Wow.
average.
Okay. Product
that
plug.
was average.
Too early for a product plug. Now you just said you haven't been on an airplane since February.
Right.
Did you have to detoxify? Like, were you like craving it? Did you?
I really was.
Yeah.
I love to travel, and I love. I was telling somebody recently, I have traveled. My first job out of undergrad involved travel. Now, car travel, I'd be excited. We flew maybe twice a year. So I was always on the road, and then worked for a group in Colorado, traveled every week. And so I said for 35 years, I have traveled.
Wow.
So to not travel, and not only not travel, but I mean, we live on 5 acres out in the boonies in Tennessee, to be basically on our hill was just, it was
Stuck.
It was a detox. Sometimes it was solace and sometimes it was stuck.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of both.
Yep. No, that's true. It's the best times, the worst times, right?
Uh-huh, it is.
I mean, but did you specifically, and I'll get off this, but like find yourself, I had to realize, I was depending on that to be my time for good quiet times too, even.
Right.
And even like relationally, we're used to saying goodbye for a bit, coming back for a bit. So it's like, we're just going to kill each other because we are just together every second, every day.
Right.
Yeah.
My greatest fear, this is probably way too much. This is usually 3 or 4 Diet Cokes in.
No,
but
get there.
My greatest fear when I brought my little girl home from Haiti in the adoption process, my greatest fear about becoming a mom so late in life, I became a parent at 50, so I went through menopause and mother at the same time. But my greatest fear, which sounds silly, wasn't the hard medical stuff. It wasn't any of that. It was, what if she gets on my last nerve? Because I've lived by myself forever.
See, also
and I'm
parenting.
Well, and I'm like, what if I'm like some crotchety, weird old lady who just should have like lived by herself in the woods with a cat or two? And I remember going to the Lord about it, like kind of seriously. I mean, and I don't think I talked to too many people about it, but just going, Lord, this precious pumpkin has lost too much to come home to a mama who she gets on my nerves. And by the pure grace of God, and Missy's such a delight, I make a million parenting mistakes. She doesn't get on my nerves. I get on her nerves.
Yeah.
She's an extraordinary kid, but that was my greatest fear about COVID, was my nephew lives with us now. Incredible story. My nephew's kind of in recovery, but I'm just doing extraordinary. But I've got this 21-year-old guy, and then I've got this 11-year-old daughter. And then we have a new dog who swallowed a demon. She's wild as a buck. And I thought, I am used to having a little more space.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of a sudden, it's a whole lot of, the dogs and the kids and the...
Yep.
And I thought, this is just a lot, not nearly as much as the Lusko clan, but it's a lot under one roof consistently all day, every day
time.
with no kind of pressure release valve. And I have been grateful. It has been weird. It hasn't been hard the way I thought it would be hard. The hard has been different. The hard has been just my own, old skeletons that come back and you go, wow, I thought I had gotten over the fact that my worth was connected to my work, but there's still a shadow of if I'm not producing, I don't feel valuable.
What are you on the Enneagram?
People always guess me wrong. Everybody thinks I'm a 7 because I'm such a windbag, but I am straight up 3-2.
Okay. So you just said that I don't have worth. I'm not producing. And that is so 3. Like, I'm like,
So
you just described me. Like I only am what I'm accomplishing, and I can't enjoy a day if I didn't get something done. It's like, it's 8 o'clock. I already did 3 things. Like, therefore I have worth today.
Right.
And then here I am a 9 over here. Hey guys, I'm just waking up
have
here.
Some fun conversations.
But 9-3 is a pretty common combination, and they can do pretty well together.
Yeah.
So.
I think they do really
It
well.
makes 12. Yay.
Yeah. And I wouldn't do the Enneagram for probably 2 years because I'd done some really deep, pretty intense tests years ago that, you had to go to counseling and meet with a psychiatrist and do all this stuff. And in Nashville, it became, in my opinion, a little...
A religion? The first church of Enneagram?
Yeah, it definitely was. And pretty trendy.
With priest Richard Rohr as the high prophet? Yeah.
Yes. And I just found too many people kind of making narrow judgments of other people, like, oh, well, she's an 8, so she's going to... And I was like,
one pastor told me, like, you should probably at the end of your sermon, like, make application for the different types. Like, it's a little too far.
Yeah, it's a little too far. But... a friend of mine just was on me and she's like, Lisa, you have to do it. And I was like, I'm your husband, because her husband and I are like Twinkies. And I said, I'm Kyle. I'm totally Kyle. And she said, no, I don't. He's a 7. She said, I don't think so. She said, I've been around you too long. And she's like, you are like, if it's 3:00 in the morning and you haven't finished something, you're going to stay up and get it done. She said, I've just never met somebody who has to do their to-do list quite like you. And I was like, oh, because I hadn't even read it yet. So I didn't want to be a 3 after that. And then I read it and I was like, really? Dang. Yeah. But I'm like straight up achiever helper.
Well, I could actually tell just from some of your posts, some of the little language things about doing and accomplishing.
It was probably about a tractor.
I love it. I mean, it's about even the tent, though. I mean, even as you described that, which we should talk about. You surprised Missy for her birthday with a tent. And was the struggle getting that thing up?
Yeah. It was, because I was all hikey, bikey, tree huggy when I lived in Colorado. Well, I'm old now. And Nashville's not the place you want to camp outside.
Well, bugs in the summer. It's
bugs, humidity.
Sweaty. Yeah.
Oh, you walk outside and you sweat. But she didn't want anything for her birthday. And it's COVID, so there's some limited things. And I still have these romantic notions of when I used to backpack and tent camp and Aspen and all over. And I thought, we will, as a family, well, first of all, I looked at a camper. So thank goodness I didn't actually buy us an RV to go across country, because that was a little flirtation for a weekend. I actually went to a place.
You sleep 5 more nights in that tent, you might rethink your decision.
Well, I know. I still kind of want an RV.
Did you get cots? Air mattresses?
It was worse. I didn't just do air mattresses. I did double air mattresses. And then I got a tent that has a little thing where you can do a plug. So we were only in the backyard because I needed to break her in. She's never camped before. Yeah. And Missy's from Haiti. Yeah. So Missy's like,
And what age was she when she came over?
4.
4. Does she remember that much?
She remembers some of the really hard stuff. She was only in an orphanage for 9 months, but her orphanage experience was really, really rough. And so she doesn't remember her first mom at all.
Right.
Her first mom, she was 2 when her first mama, Marie, who everything I've heard about her was, she was amazing. Can't wait to meet her in glory and go look at our girl. We talk about it all the time. But
and you do birthdays parties for her too, right? Don't you?
We do all kinds of parties, all kinds of Haiti stuff, all kinds of stuff about Marie, because that's Missy's story.
You're honoring her mom. That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And people get on me because I oftentimes will say I'm her second mom. And they're like, you are her first mother. And I'm like, you don't really understand Missy. I want Missy to love Marie because Marie brought her into this world. Wow. And Marie instilled love in her. It was so cool, y'all. The last time I was in Haiti, we were supposed to be there, actually right before COVID. But the last time I was in Haiti about a year ago, I wanted to meet some of her mom's friends because I felt like I had gotten maybe a sanitized version of her mom. And I was like, I really want to know. There's no pictures. Now I keep Missy connected with her maternal grandmother and her great aunt Fifi, who raised her, who are amazing women. Beautiful. It's this tiny rural Haitian village, pretty primitive, certainly by American standards. And so there were no pictures, no nothing. And I was like, can I just meet some of her friends? And my Creole is abysmal, but so they always send me out in the village, usually with an interpreter. And so this guy was
English?
Like,
is Creole English with
it's
an
French.
accent? Oh, French.
Well, it's kind of a derivative of French. So if you speak French, you can understand Creole. You might not be able to speak it. So it'd be almost like Cajun. Okay. There's a different, I don't know how you'd say it formally, but almost like a different dialect of French.
Bayou kind of sound.
It's beautiful. It's very melodic. I wish I could speak. I can hear it a little bit. Anyway, he takes me to this group of women, and there's this one woman, these are not like the ministry women. She's kind of rough. She's drinking a Haitian beer. And she is saying to the interpreter in Creole, I can pick up bits of it. She's basically saying, why does she want to know about Marie? Like, you've got this white woman who's gotten this job? Why does she want to know? And so I say to him, you know, I was like, please just tell her, I want Missy to love Marie. Wow. I want Missy to know her mom. I want to know everything about her mom. I wish I could know. And I said, I didn't want your friend to die. I said, I didn't come into the story until after Marie had passed away. And Missy, there was nobody to care for Missy. I wasn't trying to take Missy from her village or from Haiti or anything. She was sick and she was going to die, you know? And so I said, all I know, and I'm like starting to get teary with the interpreter. And I said, all I know, because this is what the missionaries had told me. I said, all I know was she was really petite and she loved to sing. I'm starting to cry. And this woman, this big, rough Haitian woman, she spits out of her Haitian beard. She goes, she was not petite. She said she had understood everything I said. She was just playing that she didn't speak English. Understood everything I said. She said she was not petite. She had a big butt. And she said everywhere she went, she laughed. She said you could always hear her coming and going because she was always laughing. Wow. And then I had this conversation with this woman, and she ended up saying, I've decided I'm going to like you by watching Missy.
Come on.
Because Missy is so happy and so healthy. And she said, the fact that you want her to know her first mother. And I said, I wish I knew her first mother. I wish she didn't have to be orphaned when her mama died. Yeah. And so it was really, really cool. But I thought, because I always thought, oh goodness, Missy came from this tiny, shy, petite woman. And I thought, nope, she's kind of like me.
That's amazing.
Maybe not tiny.
So what happens to the tent when you plug it in?
Oh, it's really cool. I had a disco light because I thought I've got to make it fun. I've got to make her first little camping experience fun.
Love it.
So we had a whole bunch of 80s music going. We had disco lights. We had Netflix. We had a double, not just the air mattress, the double air mattress. And then I had like 3 fans going. Okay. And then it has a really good, because this isn't a backpacking tent.
No,
this
no,
is like a 45-pound
we're
tent.
Car camping, glamping.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Well, for my 50th birthday, I did 50 miles on the AT. So I did hardcore backpack tent camping.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's
I'm an interpreter.
Sorry.
The
Jennie.
AT.
Well, it was with all my prissy friends, like none of them were hardcore, like no.
But when I say car camping, I mean like we bring bunk beds.
Oh, so y'all are prissy.
I have cot. So I would highly recommend a cot. So cot gets you off the ground.
I have a cot from REI.
Okay,
it was for that. I haven't gotten it out of the box, but I have it.
Okay, so we put an air mattress on the cot. So then you're comfortable, but you're off the ground, which where we're camping, it's usually cold. So that keeps you warm because you get air from beneath you, but also keeps you kind of away from the bugs a little bit. Yeah. It just makes it way more comfortable. But they have cot bunk beds.
Well, see, because of my old days when I actually was athletic and I actually carried my tent on my back, I have a little bit of shame with the car camping because that wasn't considered legit camping when I was growing up. And then I feel kind of guilty with all my electronics, but not so guilty that I won't do it. And so I added in the stuff, but then I also was like, no, we're staying here all night. Yes. Like first night, we're out here all night, even though we're in the backyard still. It's all night. And we lasted until 2:00 in the morning. Because she just was like, Mama, this is gross. I was like, honey, this is fine. This is good. She was like, I don't like this. But for my next birthday is in a couple of weeks, and we've already got the camping site done. We're doing it.
Oh, somewhere out.
Somewhere out.
Like a state or national campground?
State park about an hour and a half north of us on a lake.
Beautiful.
Now it does have electricity.
That's okay.
That's a great
tent site.
Look, there's no points for
but
suffering.
I thought,
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. After you try to talk me into your ice bath, and now you're telling me there's no points for suffering.
There's no points for suffering unless the goal is to suffer.
Okay.
But when you get out of the ice bath, you'll be like, that's the best feeling in the whole world.
But see, I think threes, there's something so crooked
once
in
I
threes.
Once I tell you that I did 3 minutes, you'll have to.
Because I feel like if it's not hard, I didn't accomplish something.
I know how to wave red in front of a bowl. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not scared.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If it's not, that's why I ran, I've done a lot of intense mountain bike. I used to race mountain bikes. I never won, but I was pretty serious about it.
Like downhill.
Both.
Wow.
Both. Wow. I did. But yeah, Colorado was pretty serious. Well, I hung out with all these pretty conservative Christians. And I thought, if we're called to kind of share the love of Christ with the world, like I don't have a lot of world in my life. I need to know some people. And so I thought I had raced mountain bikes before I moved to Colorado. And so I thought I'll race mountain bikes, not realizing the women in Colorado, like Wyoming, are like, and Montana, I keep calling y'all Wyoming, but you have church in Wyoming.
We have church in Wyoming.
Anyway, this part of the U.S., you've got like legs and lungs. Like these people are serious about.
Oh, Colorado too. It's also high altitude, and
it's tough.
Road biking there is all mountains.
Road biking. I used to road bike
14,000 foot peaks.
Yeah. So I actually, my best, one of my best downhills ever was you had to bike up Pikes Peak on the roadside.
Casual.
Remember how gooby that is? You get to the top and there's donuts at the top. It's like, really? I almost threw up a lung.
But you know what?
At the top and there's people
you also kind of feel like you deserve
donuts.
It. You're like, I need a donut.
Well, then we downhilled. You weren't supposed to be on the trail, but we downhilled on the trail because they hadn't opened it up yet. And that was one of the hairiest mountain bike downhills I've ever done, is on single track on Pikes Peak. But yeah, so I think if it's not hard, you haven't really earned anything. And so yeah, the first part of COVID, I was very chainsaw-y because I just thought I've got to do hard stuff.
You literally bought a chainsaw.
No, I already have 3.
You already had a chainsaw.
Oh yeah, I have chainsaws.
3. Did you say 3?
I have 3 chainsaws.
Wait, why do you? Is it different sizes? Or just is it like my Tuesday chainsaw, my Friday chainsaw?
My dad was a contractor. And so when I got to be about 30 and wasn't married, it was like, you need tools because you can't just constantly call some handyman for this. And he was like, you need some tools. And one of the first things my dad gave me, it was right around 9/11. And I think he thought, just in case 9/11 is like a zombie apocalypse, you need a chainsaw. And, I didn't even live, like I didn't have property at that point.
No
I was
trees
like,
to trim. But.
Okay. But my dad just thought I needed a Husqvarna chainsaw. And so he got me a chainsaw. And then after that, I was like, I really like Ryobi's better. And then I decided I wanted a battery, which you would love this. It's light, but it's pretty tough. Like it'll take down like a 4 or 5 inch tree. Well, now I have 5 acres and 2 acres is tree.
Keep it up.
Well, and trees fall down all the time. There's stuff. And so I thought, I'm just going to manicure some stuff. I just was finding this chainsaw very handy. And one day, this was maybe 3 weeks into COVID. It wasn't that far into COVID, but I had just a little bit of crazy of not really being able to leave. Yes. This is the point we weren't even leaving.
Everyone was like home.
Yeah, this was like late March.
Yeah.
And it was cold,
When we were all like, we'll be back to normal by Easter.
Oh, surely.
Yeah, surely. There's no way we're not.
And then it was like, oh my goodness, we're going to have such a great celebration in the summer. And then, this was I remember someone saying,
I have a prophetic word that every church will be back by Easter and it'll be like Christ.
Oh, I remember that.
It's like all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Those prophetic words. Sometimes
so we need to go stone somebody. We need to go stone somebody. Levitical.
Well, so I thought, I had all these trees over on one side, and I thought, I'm gonna plant a different thing here that blooms all the time. I want an evergreen. I'm tired of these sticks, but they were too close to this rock wall to actually get a shovel in. You couldn't get leverage, and I thought, I'll just cut it down and use that root kill stuff. So I'm back there. Happy as a clam because I have my earpods in and I'm listening to 80s power ballads and I have my chainsaw and it's cold. I'm just happy. I'm just happy as a clam. And I'm sawing the bottom of this tree. And you know how y'all may not do this. This is more 7 than 3, but I'll have like a balloon thought, like almost just this aha thought, but it takes me a second to catch up with the thought. And the thought was, that's funny. I didn't realize this chainsaw threw sparks.
Oh my gosh.
And then my thought was, that smells like propane.
Oh my gosh. Lisa.
So over on the side of our house, we had a propane line and I had cutting, and it wasn't marked like yellow or anything. It was just that copper propane. Yeah. I had nicked the propane line. I am screaming. It's pretty serious. This was the thing. The propane line wasn't a huge fat one. It wasn't like for HVAC. It was one of the smaller propane lines. It doesn't take a lot of propane. It would have been a wee explosion, just a tiny wee explosion. But that kind of did make me go, okay, even if you're crazy, you need to settle down.
You almost blew yourself up 3 weeks into COVID.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so...
But that area's really pretty. I can send you pictures. It's landscape.
But now it's good.
Wow. So you cut down... How many trees did you chainsaw down?
In that little area, not many. Just like 2
Depends
or 3.
on how bad of a day she's having. So
it is.
If Missy sees her with a chainsaw...
Let me tell you, Levi, you've got your heavy bag. Yep. I've got a chainsaw. And so, sometimes you just need to,
I just need a video of that.
Oh yeah. And have you seen her motorcycle?
No.
Oh yeah. So tell her about your motorcycle. When did you get, did you grow up? You're obviously.
I grew up riding dirt bikes.
Okay.
And so my parents divorced. Dad had a ranch. And so, I had the quarter horse. I dreamed of being a professional barrel racer with pink chaps. Yeah, I had a whole other life.
Where did you grow up?
Central Florida.
Okay.
Just north of Orlando. And so we had a ranch. So we had mini bikes, dirt bikes. And I loved dirt bikes when I was little. Well, then I hadn't ridden a dirt bike, I don't know, since I was probably 15 or so. And when I turned 40, I just kind of had this thought. I thought, if I don't get a husband, I'm going to get a Harley. Yes. And so I bought my first street bike. So I hadn't ridden in forever, but I bought my first street bike when I was 40 years old. And I remember I bought it used, went over to these people's house, and had not ridden a motorcycle in forever. Wasn't thinking this probably is not a good idea. Like, you should trailer it. And the guy's like, so you ride? And I was like, 25 years.
Is that heavy bike? Could you lift it up if it was on the ground, or is it?
Oh, no.
It was a big bike.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it wasn't big for Harley people, but for me, it was. It was a Harley 880. Is it 880? 830? It was a little sporty. So for Harley people, it's not that big, but for
not like a big Road King or anything.
No, wasn't a Road King, but it's still like dry weight is probably close to, I don't know, 300 pounds, way too big if I laid it down. But he was like, yeah, it's one down, four up. And I was like, okay.
Got it. So I'll take note of that.
Put my helmet on, and it was like, and somehow, when I bought, because I wasn't going to put Missy on the back of two wheels when I brought Missy home from Haiti, but motorcycles are the main form of transportation in Haiti. Oh. So when she saw this motorcycle sitting in the garage, she was like, this is like my third bike, but she went, moto, mama moto. And I was like, oh no, baby, we're not going to ride that, because I'm just not putting a kid. Forgive me, all you motorcyclists out there, but you are taking
it's a calculated
risk. It's a calculated
risk. Yeah. And there's no helmet law in Montana, so you see it. Is there one in Nashville?
Oh, don't get me started. Yes, there's
a helmet law there.
Yes.
Here, you see people all the time with I always laugh at is you see people riding with the helmet strapped in behind them, like they only use it when they have a guest or whatever, but it's like, come on. No. Head versus pavement. Head wins. That's 0% of the time.
I don't care if you're the greatest motorcycle rider in the world, you're going to come up upon somebody who's not a great driver,
or they're texting
in a car,
or Snapchatting, or trying to TikTok behind the wheel.
Me on a motorcycle, blue-haired lady in a Cadillac. Who's going to win there? Hello. So no, I'm all about helmets. But anyway, Missy was like, "Moto Mama," and I was like, "No, baby, you can't." And she just kept going, "Moto Mama." Well, I found a Honda 1800 with a dauntless sidecar. This is I don't know, maybe not quite a year after I brought her home. Well, I brought her home in April. Fantastic. This was July. So I buy it. I've never bought anything over Craigslist. It scares me a little bit.
Sure.
Same.
But this was on Craigslist. I'm sure there's really nice people. It just scares me.
Yeah.
Well, a guy, I don't even know how I saw it. Maybe somebody sent it to me. A bright yellow Honda 1800, which is a big bike, but with this huge sidecar suspension in Chicago.
Oh my gosh.
And I have a friend, I told a friend that I would give her this thing for $500. I was like, all I need you to do is ride up with me to Chicago and then drive Missy home, because I'm obviously not going to put her on the bike, and I'll ride the bike home. And she's like, okay, cool, score. You'll make $500 just for driving up. It's 8 hours from Nashville. So I buy with cash. It was like a drug deal. I have cash in an envelope.
Unmarked
I don't know why I did this. People are going to be like, who do you have on your podcast? Some of me is appropriate, and some of me is just trashy.
All of you is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to give my checking to a guy on Craigslist. Felt better to give him cash.
Cashier's checks go.
Which I should have done.
Yeah.
Something normal. This was a couple of years before Venmo or PayPal. So anyway, I give him a big wad of cash. And he's like, let me ride you around on it, just kind of show you how things work. And I was like, okay. And he's like, okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.
I get on a bike that's wider than your SUV. It's like almost 8 feet wide. I'm in downtown Chicago.
Oh, gosh.
And it's on, where you go through the tolls.
Oh, Chicago's
And
crazy.
I'm riding this giant motorcycle looking, and I thought, I don't know if I can make it through the toll booth. And I'm like, and I don't know the gear. I don't know anything. I'm like, help me, Jesus. I know Jesus sometimes wants to go, no. No, you didn't consult me before this, and no, I'm not going to help you. But I rode it home and did fine. And I was like 2 miles from my house and ran it in the ditch. Didn't wreck, but like almost wrecked because I just wasn't paying attention. When you have this huge sidecar sticking out, it drives funny.
There are funny ditches in Nashville too. Especially when there's snow on it. It's really interesting.
And Nashville's roads change names just indiscriminately.
Yeah, right.
And so people who visit Nashville are like, I got so lost. I'm like, well, you're on the same road. It just changed names. I don't know why they did that.
So do you still have that bike now?
No, I traded that bike in.
You have a 3-wheeler, don't you?
Mm-hmm. We had some people run us off the road on that bike.
In the sidecar?
There were guys in a truck flying a rebel flag.
Stop.
And we had a really ugly incident with them calling Missy names and me names and throwing Coke cans at us.
But there's no racism in this country today.
Never.
It's all gone.
Never. Certainly not in the South. But they ran us off the road, and that sidecar is fiberglass. And even though I don't ride around traffic, we were out in the country, and they're just young, foolish men, not thinking if that sidecar hits a 4x4 mailbox post, which are everywhere out in the country, it's going to kill that kid.
Oh my gosh.
And so, so that was one of the worst things we've ever had. We've had some ugly stuff, people just, the coolest thing that happened out of that, because I'll get us back to a place that's more redemptive, is I realized, I haven't talked, Missy and I talk about racism a lot with us being a transracial family, but I hadn't talked to her. I mean, we've processed a lot of Martin Luther King, but I hadn't talked to her too much about how people could hurt us. And I thought, okay, it's time. I need to sit her down after this. And we were obviously discombobulated. I had to get us out of the ditch, but we're pretty close to the house. And so
Was anybody hurt?
No, we weren't hurt. My fenders, the skirting was all messed up. No, we were really fortunate because they cut right in front of us to run us off the road. So we could have been really hurt, but God's grace, we weren't. Yeah. So anyway, I go home and I sit her on the couch and I said, baby, I want to talk to you about what those, because she heard what they were yelling, and I said, I want to talk to you about what just happened to us. And she said, Mama, why were those boys so mean to us? And I said, well, baby, some people have really little lives. They only hang out with people who look like them and talk like them. And I said, and they aren't around anybody who's different than them. And I said, and sometimes if you have a really small life, it's like your heart gets in a cage, your heart gets really small. Wow. And I said, and sometimes people with really, really small hearts, their hearts get hard and they can be really unkind. And I said, you know what we have to do? And I was just about to launch into, I want you to be alert, they're dangerous people, kind of the hard conversation. And I said, you know what we have to do when we're around people, honey, who might point out the fact that I'm white and you're black, what we have to do when we're around people who might have really little hearts. And she goes, yes, ma'am, Mama, I know. We have to help make their hearts get bigger.
Oh my God.
Those times when your kids you're like, oh, wow. Goodness, hello, Holy Spirit.
I need to go get in the fetal position and process that.
Yeah, because that wasn't where I'm going. I was going to a self-protection.
You're like going to the bear spray.
Oh, yeah, bear spray.
And she's like,
or throat punches or chainsaw to their wheels or something. Yeah, well, because it's like, don't mess with my kid. You mess with me, don't mess with my kid. Absolutely, Mama Bear.
Yeah.
But because of that, I sold that bike, and it was another 2 years because I love motorcycles, but again, they're calculated risk, and especially when you have a kid. She was just begging me for a bike, and I was like, baby, we're not going to get one. Well, we were I was at a church, and the pastor said, didn't you used to ride? I was like, yeah, I might ride again when Missy's older. And he goes, you should try a Can-Am. And I was like, what? He goes, it's the 2 wheels, because I thought he was talking about a trike, and I'm like, I'm not that
tricycle.
Yeah. Well, the trikes, which are cool, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm old.
Big flag, get a big flag.
Fluffy, single. I've got enough detriments. I don't need to be riding that. And he said, no, they're different. It's got the 2 wheels on the front. And he said, they're really fast and they corner amazing. They've got great suspension. He said, you can't flip them. Like he's explaining all this stuff. and they're much safer than two wheels, blah, 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 take up a lot of room. And he said, you should try mine. So I'm at their church, speaking of women's conference, at the lunch break, he pulls up on a bike. You know, so there's all these hundreds of women.
Yeah. That is
and
amazing.
I go, I'm like, yeah. So I'm zooming around on his bike.
Oh, I love it.
I went out, that was a Saturday.
Like that day.
Monday, I bought a bike. And so
She's
black.
a 3. She's a 3. Once it's in the head, it has to happen.
Oh, yeah. It happens
I try to tell her this all the time.
Oh, it does. Happens fast. Happens very fast.
Like yesterday, I asked her, could you write something on this bottle? And she's like, yeah, I'll do that. I was like, I mean, now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fresh,
and I'm like, you need to clarify, because in my mind it's like, oh yeah.
But once I've had the thought, it has to happen.
No, it has to happen.
But when you ask me, and I'm learning this, but when you ask me, it's like, I want it done right now.
Yeah.
Versus me. And
I assume when I said I would like you to do this, you understand. I mean, in this moment,
but you have to add now for me. Just
and
to clarify.
I'm a planner. I'm a planner in that. I mean, I study hard, but
because you want to buy the perfect one. You want
this is true.
Hard research.
Yeah, I hate you. Like this is really hard. You so read my mail.
You're
right.
I'm telling you, we see it the same.
I do. I'll read consumer reports.
I can't buy the worst one. I can't get the wrong one.
No.
I need to see reviews, YouTube videos.
Right.
I need to talk to people.
So I'm not, I mean, even though I'll do things pretty fast, I'm not an uninformed buyer.
Because you don't want to lose.
No, I don't want to lose. And I don't want to have massive buyer's remorse. So I will think about, I mean, I almost bought a tractor last weekend and I walked away from it. And it was a big deal to walk.
You posted about John Deere. I saw that.
I love them so much.
Okay, but wait, so you got the bike Monday and with Missy on it, is it amazing?
Oh, it's so much
so you
fun.
Still have it.
Oh, we write it all the time.
Okay,
I wrote
that's
it
amazing.
The day before I came here.
Oh my gosh.
We have helmets with Bluetooth.
Oh, so you can talk.
And so we can talk. Mostly we listen to worship. Now, sometimes we're trashy and we listen to like Meghan Trainor and rock out. And she loves soundtrack from, the Greatest Showman.
Probably the Trolls movie.
She does like Trolls. So I limit the trashy. We don't do songs with expletives or songs that exploit women. But I will definitely do some 80s pop, which, I grew up Baptist, so I didn't used to do that. So I've gotten real free.
Petra.
Unhappy.
Sprinkled here and there. Yeah.
Do you know Rick Kua was my associate pastor?
No, I did not know that.
Greatest guy. But I always thought of him with like the huge hair. No, he's such a good guy. But it's funny because you run into these people now in Nashville that you're like, I only know you with spandex and big hair.
Funny.
Yeah. There's a lot of them around Nashville. Good.
You have to ride my bike. So
you have a bike? What do you have?
Electric bike. Electric bicycle.
And an electric workout bike.
No, it's just
because I have one of those.
It's a pleasure bike.
Oh,
so big knobby tires.
It's
goes like 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
30-mile range, but just so much fun. We both have them.
Pizza
it's our
delivery
favorite
bike.
Date night. We just ride those things around.
I just in February, February? Doesn't matter. Anyway, not long before COVID, because I used to be a pretty serious biker, road bike and mountain bike, and I went mountain biking not too long ago, and thought, because in my head I'm still a live athlete, but not so much in my body. And so I'm flying down the single track by myself, and there's this huge log. Well, I used to be able to bunny hop log. I used to race mountain bikes. I wasn't even close to clearing this log and had a really bad wipeout and had to go to the ER and get stitches. And so I thought I might have passed my super competitive biking season. And so friends had told me about these bikes that are, Matt, do you know Matt and Lauren Crouch?
Yeah.
Matt is all about it. They're so much fun. Well, Matt is super intense about workouts, but he said, Lisa, you should get a road bike or a cross bike that's electric. And I was like, yeah. No, because if at one point you were kind of proficient at something, I'm like, that's just sissy.
Oh my god!
And he said, no. He said it's a killer workout because it's however they do the motor, it only kicks in when you're at a certain cadence.
Oh, interesting.
So it's still. He said it's actually a harder workout because the bike is heavy. I'd go in the Natchez Trace, but he said at a certain point, the motor, you can kick the motor in, or you can the motor.
Do you have that? You get one?
I did.
You love it?
It is the most amazing thing in the history of time. Well, the one I have is Specialized.
Okay, so it's like a real road bike. Yeah.
It's a real road bike, but where I ride is where all these serious bikers train. And they did this motor so well. Well, you can't tell unless you're really close. You can't tell.
They must love that. Yeah.
Well, here's this, 56-year-old woman. We're on this killer incline, and it's 90 degrees. Yes! And I've been past them, and I'm sweating. So you're pedaling hard because it's
they just don't know what the heck's going on.
They're just like,
and these are these Lance Armstrong groupies who are
total, and like
cutting the skin off their chicken breast.
140 pounds. Oh yeah, everything. This seat with no, and I go flying past you. Tell they're like, what? That she is like my mother. How did she just pass me? And I want to go, I'm so sorry, I'm aided. But
I'm aided. Performance enhancing drugs. I've been doping.
It's so much fun. The coolest thing is you get the same workout.
That's cool.
But you go twice the distance.
I love that. So I was big into
do like 30 and 40.
I used to do centuries and a lot of 80-mile rides.
Me too,
and all that.
yes.
And then this is what we have is not that. I mean, I'm talking.
I know exactly what you had, like the Pedago, because I looked at this.
I have a cup holder on it. I mean, I'm like very pleased with it. It's fantastic.
It's very leisure.
Because I looked at those when I got this one.
Big, wide, comfy seat.
But see, y'all live in a neighborhood. I live out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You can't. There's nowhere to ride like that. I'd have to put them on the back.
Mexican food and just we just.
Oh yeah, I would do that.
So
do you have a basket and a bell?
No, it looks more like a motorcycle.
It looks like
I've
a
seen
70s.
Y'all on them.
Yeah.
I've seen y'all on them. They're really cool.
It's a company out of California that I'm not endorsed by, but they're amazing. Super 73.
Maybe you should mention them.
I just did. If you're listening,
I know.
Sponsorship.
Now,
honestly,
anything
so many people
outside and going. 2 wheels, 3 wheels, anything like that is fun to me.
Yeah.
And people don't have any idea. Like I think people don't realize how good that is for your mental health. Mm-hmm. Getting out on a bike, walking. I mean, anything.
It puts me in a good mood.
Yeah.
I think too, not to be hyper serious, but there's something about the fact that we were made by a creative God.
Yeah.
And when I get out in his creation, there's something about that connects with my spirit that a manufactured environment doesn't do.
Right.
And so even because I've got Missy into hiking. Now, I can't hike like I used to hike in my 30s. I used to go up Pikes Peak like it was nothing. I'm slower, but it does the same thing for my soul as going fasted. I love being out, whether you're athletic or not. Just part of it's just going, look at what God did.
Wow.
This is so
how
cool.
good it is. I mean, they say it's pretty much antidepressant. What releases into your system as you exercise and running and like I'm big into tennis. I've been trying to get Jennie into it. We had a little mishap. You mentioned
broke my ankle.
Well, she broke her ankle on Mother's Day tripping on a tennis ball. But that was 1 month into COVID. That was May or 2 months into COVID. And then the day she got the boot taken off, the next day I shot a firework into my eye.
Oh, I know.
And then right after that, she
saw your pirate
slammed her fingers into the door of the garage. So like we need a frequent flyer card at the ER because we've met our deductible this year.
Is your eye, by the way, because I've followed all that. What's your vision in it?
So I'm going to the ophthalmologist tomorrow to get an update, but it's like if I shut this eye, you're still blurry. And so,
but you can't tell.
And you have floaters, right?
It's in the sun, but I've always had that. Okay. But like, I can try and bring you into focus, but then the background goes out. Yeah. So like the lens is not focusing on its own super well, but it looks good at least.
Because we have some land, I've always done, my friends are like, we're going to Lisa's for July 4th because she always does crazy
go big
independent fireworks. And last year, I had, you know how you buy them in the big boxes?
The cakes. Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
That's what went off.
Love the cakes.
I used to be big in the mortars, one at a time.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm going to light the cake and just stand
The cake
back.
is so easy. Yeah. We did a few mortars this year, but one landed, it really isn't funny. It landed on mine. I have a neighbor, I have 5 acres, and there's a person way down below me. We're up on a hill. Super nice people. One of my mortars landed on their front porch.
Oh my gosh. And went.
So it's like, no, it had already gone off.
Oh, gotcha.
So it landed, but I was like, I'm so sorry. So I'm like, no one orders me. But last year I had a cake. I had it on a rock down our land is terrace. So there's a big rock wall. I have Missy and all my friends up on the top terrace. So everybody's safe. Pretty far away from where I'm doing them. They're just observing. And I'm like, but I think it's so fun. I'm just teeny bit of a risk taker. And so I was like, I'll be down there and I'll light the cake. Well, I just wasn't thinking. I had the cake before it. I had wedged, by 3 rocks down by a big fire pit. I have a hose nearby. One of those rocks had come loose from the last cake and I just wasn't paying attention. I set it because it's stable where I set it and it shot sideways Well, I have, woods over there, and me. They start shooting sideways, and I am screaming. They can't get anybody else because there's this 4-foot rock wall, but I'm screaming to try to get it up because I don't want it to hit anybody or light the woods on fire. And I thought, I need to not do fireworks at home anymore. This is really dangerous. Yeah. And I'd taken all the safety precautions. So then when I saw y'all's, I'm like, yeah, probably that's going to be a dead bird in our life anymore. That needs to go.
Well, for years I've been that. Like, I just love it. I get a rush out of it. I burn my fingers every year holding a fuse and it burns through it.
I like the names of the cakes too because they're a little naughty.
Okay, so that's really funny.
I mean, I don't get the terrible one, but every year I get one bad mother and one bad mother-in-law. Yeah. Those are great cakes. Of course.
So the one that took my eye was named Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Which is ridiculous. Okay, don't trust it.
So
it's a 37-second long show, and I've been buying them, and the guy goes, "This is a really good one. This is a crowd pleaser." Now, mind you, he had no front teeth. He had no front teeth. Yeah. So, but why wouldn't
he's never pleased a crowd.
Why wouldn't I trust him? So I'm like, that would be great. So I take it, and I at the end of the show, I'm like, I got a really good one, guys. So I kind of saved it for not the last because I had a bigger one. It was like close to the end.
Right.
And I lit it my own self, which I feel good about that no one else lit it because it was in my own hands. And then I go back to the porch, stand next to Daisy, and it's shooting up, and it was about halfway through the show that one just came out sideways and just went boom, right in my eye. And but I couldn't see anything right away. Oof. And so I'm grateful I can see anything.
Oh,
and so now it's gotten better. But we were in the ER that night, and they're doing CAT scan on my head, and they're like, the guy's like, "Well, it's a good thing your eye didn't rupture," like saying stuff like that, which is so gross. He's like, "I think you have some scratches on your cornea, though." His name was Dr. Dallas, which is a great stripper name, and Dr. Dallas.
Dr. Dallas.
But the grossest part, and I haven't talked about this much, is like, I wear contacts, and I'm like, he was like, "I need to look at your eye, blah, blah," and I go, "I have a contact in there," and he's like, "Oh,
you're gonna make me throw up."
Listen, you're gonna love this. He goes, "Yeah, we need to get that out. Will you do it?" And I'm like
his hands are still dirty
from the grimy, like black. And I'm like, they're pretty dirty. So he turned to Jennie and goes, "Could you do it?" I don't wear contacts, so I don't know how to get it out.
I'm freaking out because I don't want to touch his bloody eye.
Can I wash? Yeah, it was pretty gross. He had to
I didn't want to hurt him.
He had to keep using the syringe to get the debris out because there's all this black tar stuff in the eye.
Yeah.
So then I wash my hands really good, and I'm trying to get it out, and I can't get it, but touching my eye is like grossing me out. And anyhow, then we found that there was no contact. So the firework blew it out. That was gone, which might
have been part of the protection. Although I feel like the angel was like...
angel softened the blow. And it, you know what I mean? Because it could have been so much worse.
You and I were like womb mates, split apart 20 years apart. Because we are so... When you said, I don't do it last... I always do my best one second to last.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like, otherwise it's like, so everybody does that.
Oh my God.
I always do that. But I had a couple of years ago a similar thing, but it was my nose. I was trail running and ended up doing a total Superman, slipped. I'm convinced it's too long a story and I'm so bad at concise. Let me try to concise it. I work with a lot of girls in recovery, addiction recovery, and most of them come from TPW, Tennessee Prison for Women. Mm. And y'all know when you work with people in recovery, it's just hard. A lot of them, I just love, they become dear friends. And some of them go back to addiction. And I was just so mad at the enemy because this girl had been sober for 2 years, got in with some old friends and gotten back into meth. And I was just mad.
Yeah.
And I'm running. It's good to commune with God. That's where I get my endorphins. That's also where I get my anger out. And so I'm on this trail and I'm just running, but I'm just kind of cussing the devil. I'm just like, "You sorry son of a gun." Yeah. And you are going down and there's a sword in your breast and Jesus already won. I'm just kind of telling him that he's already lost.
Yeah.
And I make this turn. I've run this trail 100,000 times. I make this turn and I'm doing the downhill on the trail. And I felt like, and I don't mean to sound all wild here, somehow this is in Deuteronomy or Leviticus, I felt like somebody pushed me.
Stop.
And I go flying face first. And I'm on a federal land by myself, this park out in the middle of nowhere. And my first thought was, because I grew up with a mom who was one of those, I paid all that money for braces, don't knock your teeth out. You know, that's in the back of your mind. Like, because I was always a risk taker and, rode motorcycles, mountain bikes. She was like, don't knock your teeth out. Don't knock your teeth out. And I thought, oh, crud, I've knocked my teeth out because there's so much blood in my mouth. You know how your face will bleed more than any other part. And then I realized, I've got my phone with me because I'm thinking I've knocked my teeth out, and I flipped, my phone around. It had knocked my phone over here. I'd hit a rock, and I turned the phone to look at my face, and a rock had filleted like a butterfly steak.
Gosh.
You can see the little line right there.
Septum, it was like a divot. Is what they call it? Yeah.
It had split it clean open.
My God.
Well, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I was, it was Halloween.
Well, that's interesting.
Halloween afternoon. So I thought, okay, I've got to run back down to my car.
Costume. That's so realistic.
So, I have to get it with my shirt, hold it together with my shirt.
Oh my gosh, Lisa.
And I call a friend of mine who's a surgeon just to say what I was supposed to be on a show the next day, this Christian show, flying to Dallas. And I was like, what ER can I go to the fastest on Halloween night? Go to the fastest and get in. And she's like, what did you do? She's like at a party with her kids. And I said, I just
put my nose open. You've seen it 1,000 times.
Running. And she's like, send me a picture. And I was like, no. And she goes, just send me a picture so I can tell you where to go. And I send her a picture, and she was like, yeah, I'll meet you at that. Like, she had operating like she's a like legit surgeon.
Yeah, wow.
She's not that any surgeon isn't, but she doesn't normally do ER noses. But she said, Lisa, she couldn't give me anything for the pain because she said, your nose is already, when I got there, it was already turning black where it was split open.
You're going to lose it.
She said, you're going to lose your nose. Well, I probably should, but I've never had plastic surgery, but I thought surely they can just fix that. And she said, no, the end of your nose, I found this out the hard way, like you with your eyes, called a fleshy knob. And a fleshy knob. They can't put that back on. And she said, she like had her knee on my chest, and she goes, I just have to sew it shut.
Oh my gosh.
With some of the debris in it as fast as I can because your tissue is dying.
Yeah, right.
And she said, you've got to pray. We won't know for about 2 weeks if your nose
falls off. Like leprosy.
Exactly. Or comes back.
Can we talk about how
leprosy? We can get back to the Bible from there.
They call it a fleshy knob. Here's my thoughts. My thoughts are,
I think there's a sermon there. Could be a series. It could be a series.
Come up with more medical sounding name.
Well, I thought the same
like something
thing.
From the Latin.
Something Latin, right?
Oh yeah, it's that is a made up name.
I know. I think so too.
That person was not a doctor.
I know. She could have been one of those strip mall medical schools.
This fleshy knob. I mean, there's so many medically sounding words.
Oh my God.
I know, like rhino,
cartilage,
I know.
blah, blah, blah.
No, it was a fleshy knob. But
nose surgery is called rhinoplasty, isn't it?
Yes.
Which that's not the person already knows they have an issue.
I know.
You have to add insult to injury. Real subtle. You are in for a rhinoplasty. It's like, this person already has been self-conscious enough to the extent that they're getting nose surgery. And now it's like your unicorn nose.
It's my feelings. Yeah.
The fleshy knob needs to be made smaller. And it healed up okay.
Your nose is so beautiful.
It's a very nice nose.
Y'all are at a distance. But it did for 2 weeks. It was black. And then it kind of started pinking up. And then
and it took.
Well, I had to go to a plastic surgeon after that because it was so bad. Well, she knew I would because she said he's going to have to, if the tissue comes back, they're going to have to basically slice it open, get the debris out and sew it back because I'm just trying to get it to attach.
Did the debris turn into a pearl in the meantime?
It did. And I have it in my Bible.
And when he cut it open,
I have it in my Bible.
There was a pearl.
Hardship leads to pearls. Yeah, I have it.
It's the best thing ever. Well, it's the thing I said. When I go to the ophthalmologist tomorrow, they're going to check the shape of the eye and test my vision. And he said, finally now, because the swelling's done, the blood's gone, everything. Yeah. So if when they retest it, they say it's likely the prescription changed. But I've had bad vision my whole life. So I'm hoping that the fix the vision. Then it's like, you know what? I was going to get LASIK.
I cannot wait to
I just
hear,
shot a firework in my eye. It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
You know, and there's so many kids who want to be, it's like Pastor Levi is so cool. You just know that there's going to be like young boys with fireworks thinking there's going to be something
kids.
redemptive.
It's a terrible thing. My worst injury, besides the broken femur, which was a different level, was when I clipped a parked car on my road bike.
You broke your femur?
Snapped it clean in half.
No, that's like serious.
Snowmobiling.
Don't recommend it. It's a terrible experience. Sounds like a gunshot and hurts like the dickens.
Oh, it made me wince when you said that.
When I came to in the snow, I was lying there, I looked down, my legs pointed this direction at the... That's not a joint there in the middle of my thigh.
Who'd you hit? Was it like a tree stump under the snow?
I was trying to clear a little ravine.
Oh, I love little jumps.
Little ravine. And
they make me so happy. It makes me so happy, little jumps.
She said it like I was talking about like some delightful restaurant. Oh, I love little jumps. So I jumped this little ravine, came out of the saddle in the air.
Yeah.
And when I landed on the skis, my femur hit the handlebar and just broke in half. So I have a titanium rod that goes from my hip to my knee.
But like a week before, we had heard of someone who'd broken their femur they bled out because it hit their femoral artery.
But you bleed out quick.
I get the call from our friend. He's like, Levi's fine. He broke his femur.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And immediately I'm
Levi's fine. He broke his femur.
But my thigh's titanium is kind of like, I'm on my way to being like Wolverine. So if you think about it, I don't beep at the x-rays.
Y'all are younger than me. When you say it's titanium, I think $6 Million Man.
Oh, okay. I don't.
Lee Majors.
I haven't seen it. But how could you? I'll check it out.
Farrah Fawcett was Farrah Fawcett's real husband.
He
was amazing.
So
not as amazing as Wolverine.
But the parked car was the most painful. That when I hit that car, I hit it right here. It was a van. And
how did you hit it on your road bike?
I was road biking down the street and my phone rang. And I went to check my phone and then I looked up and hit the side of this van going like 19 and it hit right here and it broke this bone, the maxillary fascial bone of my skull.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, so I got all the MRIs and they're like, yeah, it's broken, but luckily it didn't dislodge. The fragment didn't push back. So it stayed right there in my skull bone, but it broke, but didn't push in. Otherwise they'd have to do surgery. So it'll heal over time. But what was weird was when I breathed through my nose for a couple of weeks, I heard I heard in my head like a whistling. It was like a weird, because it was the sinus pressure wasn't there, right? And so like S's and stuff, I would hear this whistling in my head, and I didn't like it.
I have a titanium plate in my neck.
What?
I love it. Like we just need to compare scars.
You guys, seriously?
We are.
Just keep on going.
Yeah. I was hit by a car when I was younger that broke my back. And
gosh.
But all the mountain biking and I played volleyball in college. It does. It catches up. And so, but this is such a bad admission. I hope nobody's listening to this. To adopt as a single.
I hope someone's listening to this.
Sorry.
What are we doing?
Sorry. I hope nobody official is listening to this, but it's a done deal, so I don't think they can undo it anyway. When you adopt as a single, most agencies, you have to have a perfect bill of health.
Oh, wow.
And and I agree with that totally, especially when you're 50. I was like 47 when I was doing the paperwork.
Sounds like someone just fell down off camera. Did you hear that?
I think they're hearing all our crash and burn stories, and they're like, "Let's try that little jump."
They just ran into a doorway.
Jump with the
someone
tech
just slammed into a wall.
So they're like, you have to have perfect everything. Everything has to be perfect. And so my left arm, I was getting to where, and this had happened when I've had surgery on my lower back too. Mountain biking, I started getting dropsies with my leg, mountain biking in Moab. Wow. And I was like, something to do with my spine.
Oh my gosh.
But I thought, I can't tell anybody or I won't have my perfect thing. So I just did all my stuff and have my perfect stuff. My paperwork went through and I go to my ortho and I said, I think it's another, spine thing. And he did the MRI and he goes, Lisa, you have bone on bone in your neck. Gosh. Like I have to cut your throat open. I was like, it's okay. Cause I'm getting Missy. I don't care. I don't care. Cut me out. I don't care what you do.
Oh my gosh.
But he said, you're going to have a titanium plate in your neck with 6 screws. And he said, because.
Is it on the back or the front?
Front. They cut the front. See how it looks like a thyroid?
Yeah.
Right there? Well, that was actually the hardest part of the surgery is he said, don't worry. I'm going to put the incision in a fold so it won't see. It's like, I have folds?
Rhinoplasty.
Rhinoplasty. We're gonna cut through the fleshy
thanks for that. The fleshy knobs and folds. Yeah, it was really shameful. I should have started keto then, but
he should have come up with a more scientific name for it.
He should have
a crevice, maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, right.
Something that sounded nicer. But he said because I was. He said, you're so mobile and you're so active, you probably will regain a lot of your mobility. A lot of times people are older don't, but he said, what you will notice is when it's cold, you will feel the metal, it'll get cold in your throat. Do you know, I truly forget I had the surgery because it's not I'm fine. I have great mobility. I'm a great surgeon. But if I'm outside, and it's of course nothing like Montana, but if it's Nashville, it's snowy, it's cold, and I'm hiking or biking or doing something where I'm breathing in a lot of cold air, I'll be like, that is so weird, my throat. And I'll be like, oh, it's that titanium plate.
My gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Storm's coming in.
Yeah, storm's coming. Lisa's opening her mouth. Storm's coming
Lisa, before we end this has been delightful.
So delightful.
What you have a book coming out. When is it release?
Pretty soon.
Remember? Don't even know the release date. I like that.
I think I'm not sure.
About how we're not going to the marketing side.
And I keep on forgetting
a couple of months.
Okay.
Couple of months.
And what's the title? Can people pre-order it yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just got the thing. Levi, you're so putting me on the spot. I didn't know you were going to go here. It's called Life.
Okay.
And it's a devotional.
Have you like announced it yet? I'm not outing you, am I?
Oh no, you're not outing me at all. That's very sweet. I think they'll be able to pre-order it like maybe
because I'm like big on like surprises. You know what I mean? So like until I've officially announced something, I don't want to announce.
I mean, I haven't announced it, but I think it's really cool to announce here.
And what's the most recent one?
What's the most
recent one? Because you've written 22 books, which is an incredible accomplishment. And what's
or they're just not that good, and they keep giving you another shot.
And nine of them are children books, right?
No, one of them is.
No, it's 9 of them, right?
Oh no, just one. Just one is. It's called Who's Your Daddy?
Is there you have a Who's Your Mama too?
No, Who's Your Mama? Because I am her mama.
Oh, don't you have? Isn't there? I saw something in the list about Daddy.
Who's Your Daddy? Well, I told.
That's amazing.
It came out of
title with the word Dad in it.
Who's Your Daddy is the only one that I have with Dad.
Okay, well here's the whole list of them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Sacrament of
the
Happy
luckiest
is the
mommy.
latest.
That's not you.
Not me, but it probably sold really well.
I have a list with a made-up book that you didn't write.
Oh my God! Sounds good.
Hopefully you're getting royalties for that book too.
Sounds really good.
Okay, so did you? Okay, let's just go with the list.
Yeah, let's see.
Did you write "You Belong to Me, Little One"?
No. Stop. But I like that title too.
Are you joking? They gave
I'm not joking. I promise you, I'm not joking.
Didn't write that book.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't say this list in your intro.
Did you write a book called The Sacrament of Happy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How about Overextended and Loving Most of It?
Yes.
Okay. How about The Peace Map?
Guilty. No.
Oh, I already said that one. Stumbling into Grace?
Yep.
You found You Belonging to Me. Untamed?
I Untamed.
And the subtitle is?
I tried to write Untamed because I was on eHarmony and I wanted to be able to write You Belong to Me.
Okay.
And I thought Untamed sounded like a real good sales pitch. The wild side of Jesus frees us to live with love and abandon. Yep.
A Perfect Mess?
Yep.
Welcome Home, Little Baby? Welcome Home, Little Baby?
No.
There must be another Lisa Harper.
This is the best.
Okay. Baby. But I like it. I like those titles.
When I saw the list, I was trying to picture you writing a book called Welcome Home, Little Baby.
9 children's books. I was like,
it says it says 4 children's books, 9 Bible study books, and then this list. And one of them is Every Woman's Hope.
Yes. That's like 100 years ago. Relentless Love was my second book, and it looked like one of those, like a bad romantic fiction with a pirate ripping a bodice.
Ripping a bodice?
Doesn't it sound like that?
Yeah, it does sound like that.
It's relentless.
We just used the word bodice in this podcast for the first time. I said, hey, it's the Luskos first. How about What the Bible's All About for Women?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my mess.
This was like almost like a game. It was like a mini game.
It is a cool game show. And what I could almost promise you is the ones I didn't write have probably done really well.
How about Fleshy Knob? Finding God's will and you feel like you're stuck in the fold.
I think it could be Taking Back Your Fleshy Knob.
and with that, we are done. NC.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Lisa Harper.
Lisa, we love you.
I love being with y'all. I love
so much.
Oh my God.
That was fun.